Let's bring in
we'll see.
our Chief Election Analyst, Tom Connell. As David says, we'll see. Classic quote there in politics. We will see, my friend. How are we looking tonight?
It's beginning to take shape. Everything about the numbers so far, we're 2% into the count, is there'll be a double figure swing towards the Liberal and Nationals, but nowhere near forming government. That's all the information we're getting in so far. I'm going to take you through in a seat sense, then I'm going to show you the macro side of things as well. So Perth Liberal seats lost last time around in that landslide. Hillary's, you can see the margin here, 18.7%. So far, with 4%, a decent amount in, we're seeing a swing against the Labor Party of 4%. But you can see overall 54% of the primary, how they're playing out in two-party preferred, with a decent margin, a swing towards the Liberal Party, but nowhere near enough at this point. So that seat looks like they won't pick it up. So there's already one they're not picking up, it looks like, on that particular page. As well, when we go to the seat of Bateman, so this one, much more gettable margin, 6.7%. Again, nearly 4% in. Have a look at how this is playing out. So yes, we're getting a swing against the Liberal Party this time around because the Nats are contesting, but actually the Greens are picking up vote as well. So far, early numbers, we're not seeing a swing here in this seat. We're seeing it everywhere else. We're not seeing a swing so far against Labor. Two-party preferred, and how that's playing out right now, you're actually seeing a swing towards the Labor Party. So Bateman so far, that's not working out. It's early numbers. We'll see if that Liberal vote in particular changes. So Bateman at that particular early stage, again, not looking particularly good. Nedlands is the other one on this page. We're seeing some vote come in. So this one's looking better for the Liberal Party when we see the swing and how that's playing out. 7% against the Labor Party, and they only have that 3.2% margin. So again, a bit more than 4% of the count done. You can see the Liberal Party clearly ahead. They look like they're going to pick up that seat. We just want a little bit more of the count because some of this count has included mobile and postal, so we want a little bit more. But you can see how that's taking shape. They're looking good in Nedlands, but so far in the numbers coming in, no more gains on that particular page. So then when we go to Liberal and National seats lost in 2021, the numbers we got in here, Darling range, so 14%, one of the larger margins on this page. Pretty early on, but again, what's the early indication on the level of swing here? A huge swing against the Labor Party here. Liberal Party not actually picking it up so far, and some of that is floating around to various different parties. How that plays out so far is Liberal Party's picking up enough of those preferences to edge ahead. So that's a pretty big swing in Darling range. So here you're seeing it slightly patchy about where is swinging bigger and larger. We're seeing so far these regions are swinging much bigger compared to the city, but we know there's so many seats in the city. So that's emerging as the problem for the Liberal Party. Then we go to this one. So these are the seats we thought, right, if we start to see the Liberal Party win these seats, they're having a seriously good election compared to expectations. Kingsley at 16.9% so far. So we're seeing 11% of the votes already come in. Yes, there's a 15% swing against Labor. We're seeing 6% go back towards the Greens to help out Labor. They get 80% or so of those preferences. And that means so far we're seeing a pretty decent swing. I mean, 11%. We're normally talking big numbers there, but it's not really going to be enough with Labor still on 55%. So that's the story so far. We're seeing some pretty big swings, particularly out in the regions. In Perth, not enough so far, and that's where so many of those seats are. And that means where we're left in the sort of macro sense, so, if you like. So if we get where Labor's going on their overall swing in terms of to their primary, 13% against them on primary, which is a pretty decent swing. We're seeing, though, the Greens actually pick up vote. So they're going to hand that back, obviously, in some of those seats to the Labor Party. And Libs and Nats get a swing towards them. The pendulum is the crucial element. We know, of course, that Labor effectively starts on nearly 70% two-party preferred, and we need a 23% swing to go towards the Liberals and Nationals. So far, how's that swing going? About halfway there. 12% is where it's going in terms of match swing so far. So comparing last vote to this vote, everything about this election so far is this where it's in. That they'll get seats in the order of maybe 10 seats so far to Liberal and Nationals if it plays out this way, but nowhere near enough to change the government. So we'll wait a little bit longer, but I'm seeing nothing so far, Kieran, to say this won't be a Labor Party victory.
Is there anything you can tell us in terms of your initial thoughts? I know you've been focusing on the state numbers, but the overlay of the federal seats?
You're right, have been. Let's just take a chance. Let's throw this out. Okay, here we go. So Cottesloe, of course, a Liberal-held seat. We're seeing a pretty decent swing towards the Liberal Party primary in Cottesloe, Nedlands and Scarborough, albeit only 3 or 4%. So we just kind of want those numbers to settle a bit more before we're going to be too definitive about it. Bullwinkle, the other most interesting seat, you'd have to say. We're seeing the Labor Party 60% swing here, 40%. Central Wheatbelt, not as much of a concern because it's national territory, but still that's a huge swing against. and Darling Ranges 16%. And then, of course, the other one I think of most interest would be Tangney. So held by Labor by 2.8%. And we're seeing here this big swing against them in the seat of Jandakot. The other seat's not too bad, even a swing towards Embatement. So these aren't perfect examples of just imprinting over. I guess the other thing to say about this so far, let's take here, these two swings are actually much less than the statelight swing against Labor. So that's the other thing we'll discuss through the night. How are they going overall, and how does the swing in these seats compare to statewide for Labor?